Hi, welcome to the 14-day weather forecast. The end of a recent heat wave has unfortunately coincided with the start of the summer holidays for many people. So I think the key question for the next couple of weeks is, will the warm, dry and settled weather be returning or not? I'm going to begin by taking a look at the view across Europe and the North Atlantic. This sequence runs from 12 GMT, Tuesday the 27th of July, based on the GFS model. At the outset, it's a low pressure dominated scenario, so there are showers over much of the UK. Some of them are heavy and thundery. Nonetheless, there are brighter spells too. Through the coming days, not a great deal of changes in the short term, although I think as we go through Thursday and into Friday, it's worth keeping an eye on developments to the southwest. There is a possibility of a disturbance bringing longer spells of rain across southern counties for a time. On this particular model run, those are kept to the south and across northern France, but different computer models have shown different scenarios, and I'll come back to that in a moment. Through the weekend, showers may well become more scattered for a time as a ridge of high pressure builds in the southwest, and that could keep much of the UK dry early next week. But by Tuesday the 3rd, what we see is outbreaks of rain pushing across much of the north and west. Those are associated with another area of low pressure in the Atlantic, which is promising to keep the changeable or unsettled theme going. Now, it's just worth taking a quick look at the jet stream forecasts to see what's happening. This is for Wednesday, the 28th of July. Jet stream here's sweeping across the southern parts of the UK. Ideally, at this time of year, if we're looking for warmer and drier conditions, more settled and summery weather, it would really be heading up towards Iceland. So it is a lot further south than where maybe we would hope it would be. Even by Tuesday, the 3rd of August, it's still tracking southwards, and you can see in the Atlantic it's strengthening there. So that's heralding the likelihood of another low pressure dominated spell of weather, of course, if this particular model run is correct. Looking at upper air temperatures, Tuesday the 3rd of August, yellows and greens across much of northwestern Europe show rather cool upper level air, and the really warm upper level airs over southern Europe down towards the Mediterranean. So all in all there, not a particularly settled or warm outlook at all. I said there is the possibility of outbreaks of rain affecting the south Thursday, Friday. Here's the Meteo France animation. It starts at 17 GMT on Thursday, the 29th. Outbreaks of rain at this point are just pushing into the southwest. Some of them look to be quite heavy. And through the coming hours, so overnight and into Friday morning, the rain moves across the south before clearing away. It's, as I say, there is uncertainty about this happening, but it is worth keeping an eye on because there could well be some heavy bursts of rain mixed in there if it does track across the south and not down across the Channel or northern France. So there is uncertainty about that rain, as I say, but what is fairly clear is it's not going to be particularly warm anywhere. This is showing forecast maximum temperatures from the UKV, so the high-resolution model run by the Met Office, on Wednesday, the 28th of July. In the south, there, low 20s have been reached, but generally it's low to mid to upper teens across much of the UK, so disappointing for late July. Saturday, the 31st of July, just to give another example, and not a great deal has changed. For highest temperatures here, 21, 22 Celsius in parts of eastern England. All in all, though, a little bit below par for this time of the year. Rainfall, well, the showery nature does add a good deal of uncertainty, as does the possibility of longer outbreaks of rain crossing the south on Thursday and Friday. However, I think the key takeout here is that all parts of the UK are likely to see some rain at times. The chart on the left here is showing days 0 to 4, and it's based on the Meteo France model. On the right, we've got days 0 to 4 once again, but based on the German ICON model. And I think the rain distribution is fairly similar between the two runs. The biggest totals are essentially in the northwest of UK, perhaps over parts of northwestern Wales as well. But as I say, all of UK can expect to see some rain during the first week of the forecast period. So, how do the deterministic models stack up against each other at 1 week ahead? Remember, the key thing to look at here is, are they all showing something similar, or is there a wide range of scenarios being served up? Here's the GFS model, so it's one which the initial animation was based upon, and all these charts are for Tuesday the 3rd of August. You can see at this point that this has a weak ridge of high pressure building across the UK, but it is looking like a generally changeable or unsettled pattern upstream, with more areas of low pressure coming into play later on, bringing the likelihood of showers or longer spells of rain after that possibly dry start. The German icon model, this also looks like a changeable or unsettled pattern. High pressure's centred further southwest and it's having less influence. The Canadian model, also changeable or unsettled, with areas of low pressure close to the UK, high pressure not really having much to say about that. The UK Met Office run does have a weak ridge of high pressure building northeastwards from the Azores. It doesn't look as though it's going to last, and areas of low pressure in the Atlantic would be pushing through, keeping that changeable or unsettled theme in place. Finally, the European ECM model. Once again, there are some tentative signs of an Azores high pressure ridge, just maybe keeping things drier at the outset, but it's an unsettled or changeable pattern, with weather systems moving in from the Atlantic across all parts of the United Kingdom. So the deterministic models, when taken together, are painting a changeable or unsettled theme at the end of week 1, so Tuesday the 3rd of August. I think that really highlights that confidence in this pattern is quite high at the moment. So what about week 2? Well, I'll focus on the Ensemble data again to look at the probabilities of different scenarios, because at this range, focusing on details isn't really possible, because these computer models just aren't accurate enough to pinpoint the details beyond about 1 week ahead. So here's the GEFS plot for London, 16-day plot. Upper air temperatures are shown on the top half, and the thick black line gives you an idea of a 30-year average. As I said, in the short term, they're often going to be a little bit below it. From about the 3rd of August, so looking at the second week, we see most of the runs are remaining below it. And perhaps towards the very end there are more warmer runs coming into the mix, and the mean of all of the runs in the Ensemble has possibly just been pulled up a little bit as a result. I think all in all, though, the warm solution at the moment is not the favoured one. A continuation of close to average or perhaps a little bit below average temperatures would be likely for much of the second week at the upper air level at least. In terms of rainfall, well, rain spikes across the bottom air continue to appear. If anything, there are signs there from around the 5th of August of the number of them actually increasing for a time, but it's not looking like a washout. Again, a lot of the rain in the southeast in particular may well be coming from showers during the second week, so some places could catch downpours while just up the road it stays mainly dry. We've seen that several times already in recent weeks, where London's had absolutely torrential downpours which have led to flooding, but just 20 miles up the road it's been completely dry. So that type of scenario may well play out again in the next couple of weeks. So as I say, it's very difficult to pinpoint the distribution of rainfall. Jumping up to Glasgow, on the upper air temperature profile, it's similar to the London ones, often a little bit below the 30-year norm, but towards the end, 1 or 2 warmer runs come into the mix there. Rainfall, in the short term, there's a risk of rain, but from around about the 1st to the 3rd of August, it's looking potentially a little bit dry down here. That's maybe when that ridge from the Azores builds northeastwards. It looks like a temporary feature. And through the second week, so from the 3rd of August onwards, the number of rain spikes really does increase significantly. Potentially it becomes quite wet on this plot. So not looking like a settled scenario at all. Often temperatures below, upper air temperatures a little bit below the 30-year norm as well. 2 metre temperatures, ones which we'll be experiencing down at the ground level. To discuss that in more depth, I've brought up the 16-day GEFS data table. So each column represents the forecast maximums from all of the runs in the ensemble for that given time slot. At this time of the year, the average maximum in London is around 23 Celsius, just to give you an idea of how these stack up. And we can see from around about the 3rd of August onwards, the number of dark oranges increases for a short time, and it becomes a dominant category. Those are runs which are forecast in 21 to 25 Celsius. But then something of a cooling trend manifests, although temperatures may be staying close to or a little bit above average at this point. And then towards the very end, there are 1 or 2 very warm or hot runs which are appearing, but they are in a small minority. I think that would best be summarised just saying towards the end, their temperatures may be trending upwards a little bit again, slightly above the average being the most likely scenario. I thought it would be worthwhile just bringing up the data table showing the same thing, but for Reading. Now, that's not far away from London, just a little bit further west. But the forecast 2 metre maximums here are actually noticeably lower by several degrees. We've got the light orange columns are much, much taller. And I think the point to make here is that the warmest conditions really could well be focused on the southeastern corner, perhaps East Anglia for much of the time. And as you head even just a little bit further westwards and northwards, those temperatures may be a couple of degrees lower. So in terms of comparisons to the average, it may just be the southeastern corner and East Anglia where more days are staying above the average. Move away from there and closer to or even a little bit below it. Up to Glasgow, to the northwest. Again, the pattern's similar, but albeit at a lower level. The oranges here, the lighter oranges, are showing 16 to 20 Celsius, and the yellows are 11 to 15 Celsius. But bear in mind that the average daytime maximum is around 19, so 4 degrees or so lower than London. So relative to the norm, the pattern here is very, very similar, I think. It's just that the norm is 4 degrees lower than it is in the southeast of England. In the ensemble, as I mentioned, there's a wide range of solutions as we move forwards. And I just thought to illustrate that, I would bring up 3 charts showing forecast maximum temperatures for Tuesday, the 10th of August. These are all generated from different runs within the GEFS. On the left, I've picked out the warmest one I could find. It's an outlier, but I just wanted to use it to illustrate the range which you often get on these ensemble outputs. So it's showing temperatures reaching perhaps 29 Celsius in the southern half of the United Kingdom, quite widely actually. Now the chart on the right, I pulled out because I think it was just about the coolest run in the ensemble. And here values in the north are 11, 12, 13 Celsius. And even in southern England, they're topping out at close to 20 Celsius. So 9 or 10 degrees lower than the hottest run in the suite. Now in the middle is the chart showing the ensemble mean. So it's totaling the 30 individual runs and then dividing them by 30 to generate this. And what we can see is it's actually significantly closer to the coldest run than it is to the hottest run. Maximums in southern and central England look to be around 21, 22, 23 Celsius. And I think I just wanted to as I say, use this to illustrate the range that you do get with Ensemble forecasts, output in Ensemble forecasts. And I guess the key point to take on board here is that on this occasion, most of the runs are trending towards the lower end. So the mean of them all is closer to that to that very cool run than it is to the very warm one. So even in ensembles, the key thing really is to try and pull out the outliers and not ignore them. I think they should always be taken into account, but to realise that they are showing a solution which is much less likely. But as I say, those even the ensembles can change quickly, and sometimes when you see an outlier like the one on the left there, the very warm one, it can be something of a trend setter. It does happen at times. So if you do look at these charts, the thing to keep an eye on is in the coming days, these update every 6 hours on the website, is to see whether there are more hot runs appearing or not. And if there are, then perhaps, just perhaps, that would start to indicate the likelihood of it turning warmer, drier and more settled again. Okay, after explaining something about ensembles, hopefully I'll just bring it back to the mean surface level pressure data table. Today I'm using Manchester as an example. So again, each column represents the output from all the runs for one day. What you can see in the short term is the amount of yellows increase, possibly, I think, indicating that weak ridge from the Azores building and toppling across the UK. But then through next week, the greens increase. There are even some blues up there. The greens are showing low pressure, so 996 to 1010 millibars. The blues, 981 to 995, so those would be very low for the time of the year. So it's a low pressure dominated scenario as we go through week 2. Towards the very end, the amount of yellows increases. There's even a little bit of orange there. The oranges are 1026 to 1040 millibars, so those are really high pressure. But all in all, it's a low pressure dominated scenario with just that hint of pressure trending upwards towards the end of the 2-week forecast period. Looking at the mean pressure from the GEFS model for Friday, the 6th of August. So again, in the same way, that temperature chart I just showed was generated by aggregating all 30 runs, then dividing by 30. This is doing the same, but with the pressure variable. What we can see is it's a low pressure dominated scenario. We've got 1000 millibars there over Scotland. The Azores high pressure really too far to the southwest to be a significant player. So changeable or unsettled according to the GEFS. I would also show the European ensemble chart for the same time because it's very consistent. Again, we've got low pressure centred to the north of the UK. The Azores high pressure too far southwest to be bringing us much in the way of warm and settled weather. Once more, the consistency between the two different ensembles here, the GEFS and the European ECM, do help to increase the level of confidence in that changeable or even unsettled scenario during week 2. So to summarise, week 1 begins with heavy and possibly thundery showers, but there will be sunny spells too. There is a risk of more prolonged outbreaks of rain affecting the south on the 29th and the 30th. Uncertainty about that though, with some computer model runs keeping them over northern France or in the English Channel. It's often going to be quite cool for the time of the year, with the warmest conditions probably in eastern England. Later on, showers become more scattered and there is possibility of a weak ridge of high pressure, just keeping things drier for a time. Week 2, changeable. There's an ongoing risk of showers or longer spells of rain, but there should also be some dry days in the mix. Temperatures generally close to or slightly below the norm, but towards the end of the period, it may become warmer, but that signal at the moment is a weak one. So there we have it. It's a very mixed picture, not particularly summery. I think on some days it'll be good for going for a walk, but less good for sitting around outside and having a barbecue because those temperatures will be a little bit on the low side, especially in the evenings, and there is that risk of showers. Anyway, I hope you found that useful and enjoyed it. If you did, then please remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. Thanks for watching now. Bye.